We're recording.
Good evening. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting for Thursday, March the 2nd, 2023. And we have a quorum established, so we'll begin the meeting tonight. First order of business will be our public hearing, which is amendment to section 405 regarding recreational marijuana, amendment -128. Who wants to talk about that one? You got that?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Burks.
As a preliminary matter for this public hearing, I would ask that the publication notice published in Warren County Record be made part of the record by reference. The city comprehensive plan and the city ordinances be made part of the record by reference, and the planning and zoning officer's report be made part of the record by reference. The proposed ordinance amending the city zoning code regulation for medical marijuana. The red lines in the report shows the changes to the city existing regulation. These changes mirror the recent constitutional amendment approved by the voters in November 2022. The public hearing notice was posted in the Warren County Record on February 9th of 2023. Mr. Weber here can answer any questions on that. Do you have any questions for me?
On the board have any questions?
Just one. So this is just to so that we are compliant with what was passed, right? So we're
right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So the change, I think as everyone knows, the main change in November was that recreational marijuana sale and use is now allowed. But that amendment also made changes to the medical marijuana program as well. So the vast majority of these changes to your zoning code are just updates to comply with those changes. So there's a whole lot of definitional changes that were made. So I mean, I think at least half this ordinance is definitions. And so then the substantive changes was mainly in places where you allow medical marijuana facilities. Now you allow recreational facilities. Because the presumption is every medical facility is going to become a recreational facility.
So my question is, you know, the retail dispensary locations, they're fairly self-explanatory. How is the ordinance handling the cultivation piece? Because it's specifically defined, and that's a considerably different type of exposure, and it brings with it some externalities that I think that need to be managed.
So wherever your cultivation facilities were allowed previously, and I don't remember offhand, they're still allowed in the same place. I mean, there's no substantive change other than cultivation of recreational marijuana is allowed. Most of these cultivation facilities are indoors, and if they're not indoors, then there has to be significant security measures such that you might as well put it indoors. And if it's inside, you can grow all year round. So I don't know of any that are outdoors. Maybe there are some, but I don't know of any that are outdoors.
And I fully would expect that they'd be an indoor facility. That part doesn't surprise me. I just, I guess I'm not aware. I thought we were introducing cultivation as an option with this ordinance change.
So here I can look up where, but
I think it's on section 405.288, section 8.
well, so you have a use grid, right? And this,
In the appendix section, can we see in the appendix section where it shows as conditional, permitted, or prohibited?
Hold on. I gotta get there.
right. Well, I'm not. So I guess what's your question? Is your question whether cultivation facilities were allowed in certain places and now they're not, or is your question about?
Well, my question is specific to cultivation. I wasn't positive whether or not cultivation was being changed with this ordinance draft or not, and in the appendix here it shows that it's a conditional in M1 only, and that was my primary concern. I think those types of facilities could be an unfriendly next door neighbor in most places, so I'm comfortable with the M1 condition. I just wanted to make sure we weren't opening up for cultivation facilities in high-traffic areas and
Growing
stuff.
it in my backyard.
Yeah.
So I just pulled up your current city code, Appendix A, and medical marijuana cultivation facilities right now are allowed as a conditional use in M1.
Right.
So now we're adding recreational.
Right.
But there's no additional districts being added for cultivation.
And that's all I wanted to clarify, is that,
Okay.
that the M1 zone is the only place where, regardless of whether it's recreational or medicine or whatever, that it remains only M1.
It still has the distance requirements too, just like before, the 1,000 feet from any,
All the other things like
rather than
preschools and,
sales.
yeah,
Right.
daycare.
Now, people are allowed to grow their own,
Yes.
but
Like I said,
I was waiting for that.
just the
On a small
basement
scale.
now, not the backyard.
All right, very good. Any other questions at this time? Anyone else in the audience would like to speak on behalf of that? Hearing none, we'll move on and close our public hearing for the night and open up our public comments, and I don't think there's any public comments tonight. Okay. And we'll open our regular planning and zoning meeting with the first matter of business will be the minutes from the February 2nd, 2023 P&Z meeting.
It was a long one.
Move to accept the minutes as read.
We have a motion by Mr. Cooper and second by Mr. Cornell to accept the minutes as submitted. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cullum?
Yes.
Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Jason Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
I abstain, I was absent.
Mr. Durbin is absent. Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Priest is absent. Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 with 1 abstention and 2 absent. Next order of business will be amendment to section 405 regarding recreational marijuana that we just discussed. If there's no further questions,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment to section just bounced 405 as written and discussed.
Second.
motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Detterman to approve the amendment to section 405 regarding recreational marijuana, amendment -128. Any other further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll roll call vote.
Mrs. Cheryl Cullum?
Yes.
Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Jason Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0 with 2 absent. Next order of business, we'll ask Mr. Costello to step down from dice and we'll open up the Costello proposed easement abandonment. And we'll turn it over to Mr. Burks to bring us up to speed on this.
Louis Beatty on behalf of Scott and Julie Costello, Living Trust dated February 16, 2015. We'd like to request an amendment or abandonment of the north 5 feet of the reserve utility easement for the abandonment of Meyer Avenue in ordinance number 914 along with lot 14 of Mosery Meyer Gully addition to the city of Warrenton, Missouri. It is noted that the 5-foot abandonment, the city will still have 35 feet wide easement remaining on Meyer Avenue. So we have a 40-foot utility easement, and we're going to abandon the north 5 feet of that. We'll still have 35,
Which is plenty,
which is, yes.
more than enough.
I'm assuming there are no utilities in that easement?
There are.
Yes.
There's one sewer line in that easement currently. But if there was ever any need to increase that capacity, it's going down the hill away from the current one, so we don't need the 5 feet up the hill.
Gotcha.
It used to be a road easement, is why it's so wide.
Right.
It used to be a road easement, so they vacated the road easement and just made a utility easement. So that's why the utility easement was just there, but now it's going to encroach on the house that they proposed to build there, so that's the widest single line sewer easement in the city.
Right. That was going to be my next question. Why do we have a 35-foot?
It used to be a road.
So So it makes sense.
So that's the reasoning why for the 5-foot abandonment is to allow for the building of an adjacent property?
Yes.
Yes.
Property that the easement's on, correct?
Very good.
They were running into sideline
Setbacks and stuff.
issues, so.
Very good.
Nothing has to go reroute anything today, right? Okay.
No.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Costello proposed easement abandonment as displayed and discussed.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cullum, second by Mr. Cornell to approve the Costello proposed easement abandonment as spoken. Any other questions or comments at this time? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Costello is abstaining. Jason Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cheryl Cullum?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0 with 1 abstention and 2 absent. And Mr. Costello can return back to the bench. Thanks for everybody's cooperation on that, and we'll move on to number 4, discuss change for meeting time. And I think what the proposal is we'll open it up for discussion if anybody has any. The proposal is maybe moving it to 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock out of respect for the folks, the city folks that they're here all day for work and then they have to wait for 3 hours to 2.5 hours or whatever for the meeting to start. And this will, plus some of our meetings have been going longer, and with the growth that we're expecting, I think they're going to get longer anyway. So anybody else have any discussion on that?
No, I concur with the 6 p.m. time change, along with taking into consideration the city. As you noted, the last couple meetings have been succinct, but there have been ones that have ran an hour and a half, 2 hours. So pulling that time back for the end of the day, I think would be appreciated.
I agree.
Is there anybody on the city staff that would like to discuss anything with us?
We'd all appreciate it.
Now,
Sometimes, like, these short meetings, no big deal, but the long ones, we could be getting on.
Yes.
well, and it's not only this, and then you got this meeting, and you got 2 Board of Alderman meetings, and then committee meetings, and all the other
That's what we
things.
signed up for, but. if
Sure,
we do
no,
6,
we all respect that. Yeah, we respect that, trust me. And
When would this take effect next month?
Yes.
Okay, I'm down.
and do we have to make a motion or anything on that?
Yep.
Okay.
And just a formality, is our decision final, or does it still also have to be approved by the Board of Aldermen?
Oh, your decision is final. You make your own rules.
Hey, I like
Well,
Yes.
with regard to this kind of.
He didn't finish his sentence. That's
I
awesome.
do not object.
I would like to make a motion to move the meeting begin time to 1800, starting with the April meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and seconded by Mr. McCullum and Mr. Costello to move the meeting time starting next month to 6 p.m. Or 1800 as he just stated. If there's any other questions, we'll take those now, or comments. Thanks for your participation in this, and we'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. Costello?
Yes.
Mr. Jason Cullum?
Yes.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Mr. Dieterman?
Yes.
Mr. Cornell?
Yes.
Mrs. Cheryl Cullum?
Yes.
Mrs. Madden?
Yes.
Motion passes 8-0. And we'll close that part of the meeting and open it up to Mr. Burks if he has any comments for us at this time.
At this time, there's no items for the agenda
Okay.
for next month.
For next month at this time, you'll let us know if that changes. And I just wanted to make a comment because I told the kids today that I would say hi to them on TV tonight because I got to discuss what planning and zoning actually was in 2 second grade classes and 1 fifth grade class today. And the 5th grade had been doing a unit on government, so we talked about planning and zoning. Today is Dr. Seuss's birthday, and I read to them today all the places that you go, and I said I'm going to be on TV, and they were all excited about that. And so maybe they're watching it this week, and they'll see me on TV. So hi to Miss Myers, Mrs. Logan's, and Mrs. Dildine's class tonight. So anybody else have any comments for the good of the group?
So cute.
Hearing none, we'll entertain a Mr. Deitch motion to adjourn.
In honor of Mr. Deitch, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Costello, second by Mr. Cooper to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming out. Have a good night.